Okay, so last time we see that the classification of piles based on method of installation. Right? So here next is a classification of piles based on their load carrying capacity. Right? So it this basically transfer the loads. Right? So these piles are classified as end bearing piles, friction piles, combined end bearing and friction piles. Right? So combined end bearing and friction piles. So end bearing pile and friction piles, these both are we already studied in the previous lecture, right? So we can skip this both the piles, end bearing piles and friction piles. Now, talking about the third one is a combined end bearing and friction pile. So these piles transfer the load of combination of end bearing at the bottom of the pile and the friction along the surface of the pile shaft. The load carrying capacity of the pile in this case basically depends on the bearing capacity of stratum soil which is below and the skin friction along the surface of the pile. Right? So therefore the total load carried by a pile is equal to load carried by the pile point plus load carried by the skin friction. So the equation of this load carrying capacity Qn is equal to Qp plus Qs. Qp means at a pile point and Qs means skin friction, right? So the displacement and the non-displacement piles. So first one is displacement piles. So these are the piles which is based on the effect of installation of piles on the soil. Right. So first one is a displacement pile. So if during installation of pile, large volume of soil is displaced laterally and the upwards. So that's why that type of pile is called a displacement pile. So in a loose sand, such a pile densifies the sand up to distance of about 3.5 times the diameter of the pile measured from the center of the pile. So the compaction of sand leads to an increase in its angle of shearing resistance within the zone of influence. In case of clays, a large displacement pile removes the soil to a distance of about twice the diameter of pile. So during driving, very high pour water pressures are set up around the pile and the soil regains its initial strength only after a period of time. So when the excess pour water pressure is are dissipated. So generally, displacement piles are referred for the use in the loose to medium sands and not in a dense sand or clays. So driven and cast in place, the driven, precast or prestressed concrete piles, timber piles, this etc. These all are the example of large displacement pile. So some of the piles like the roll, steel section pile, screw piles, open-ended, hollow section pile, etc. on account of their small cross section and small displacement of soil are basically classified as a small displacement piles. So these types of small displacement piles are preferred when the ground displacement and the disturbance are to be minimized. Next is a non-displacement pile. So this type of piles are those piles whose installation does not lead to any displacement of soil at all. So the for starting with this hole is formed in a soil by boring or excavation, and then it is filled with the concrete. So the sides of hole can be unsupported or supported either permanently by casing or temporary by casing or drilling mud. So board cast in situ and board precast piles are the example of the non-displacement pile. So advantages of these piles are there is no ground uh, heave, right? Piles can be installed without noise or vibration. Length of pile can be easily varied at the site. It is possible to install very long pile with very large diameter. So the construction of enlarged ends up to 3 times pile diameter is possible in clays. So it's resulting in a substantial increase in a point of bearing capacity. And construction process enables the inspection of excavated soil and its comparison with the soil exploration data. Now, talking about the disadvantages. So during the installation of pile, the soil on the sides of the borehole soften due to the contact with the wet concrete and the migration of water. So the softening of soil, if it is a clay soil, or loosening of soil, if it happens to be sand or gravel, would lead to a loss in a shear strength and reduce the pile bearing capacity. So there is difficulty of concreting underwater and likelihood of wasting or necking of concrete in a squeezing ground. So there are some factors which is influencing the selection of pile. First one is the nature of structure, its loading conditions, availability of funds, availability of materials and equipment, types of soils and in its properties, groundwater table, self-weight of pile, durability of pile, cost of pile, maintenance cost, length of pile required, number of piles required, case study of adjacent buildings, facilities available for pile driving, difficulties in a pile driving, adaptability to various lengths, presence of acids and other materials, erosions of soil near the structure. Uh, so this presence of acid and other materials in the soil that could injure the pile, right? So the section of material of this pile would depends on the magnitude of structural load. So for example, light loads, timber piles can be used, while in case of heavy loads, only steel or reinforced concrete piles can be considered. If the site is situated very busy and crowded area with a structure already constructed in the adjacent area, only small or non-displacement piles have to be used for consideration of noise, vibration, and ground displacement. In case of loose to medium sand conditions, displacement piles help compact the soil, while in clay soil, use of displacement piles may result in a heaving of the soil. So that's why for the clay soils and the dense sand, non-displacement piles are preferred. Driven piles are unaffected by the groundwater, while in a board pile, concreting has to be carefully monitored when the construction is being carried out below the water table, right? So there are certain limitations to the length of piles in a different type. So here, different types of piles are given, uh, also provided with the maximum pile length and with the approximate design load. So for timber pile, maximum pile length is 20 meter and design load is 300 kilometer. For driven concrete piles, length is 30 meter and approximate design load is 900 kilometer. For board concrete pile, 45 meter, 45 meter maximum pile length with the design load of 900 Newton, and for the steel edge or pipe piles, unlimited pile length provided with the design load of 1000 kilonewton. The durability of pile mainly depends on the pile material and the environmental conditions. So timber piles are liable to rot when the subject to alternate wetting and drying. So if the sulfates are present in the soil, concrete piles are likely to deteriorate in strength. So steel is likely to be corroded by salt. Selection of pile material must be made keeping in mind in any such situation. So suitable treatment must be given to the pile material to protect it from the damage. Right? So if there is more than one alternative for the type of pile that can be used, it gives a project comparative install cost must be worked out and most economical alternative chosen. Right. So the cost of pile load test have also be added to the installation cost while working out the overall cost. So there are some pile accessories. Uh, so in case of wooden, steel, precast concrete piles to protect the top and the bottom of the pile, while driving into the ground or facilitate easy pile driving, certain accessories are required. Which is the first is pile cap, and second one is a pile shoe. So in case of pile cap, driven piles are driven into the grounds by applying blows on heavy hammers on their top. So that to protect the top of the pile cap is provided. So normally pile cap is made of steel and thickness and size of pile cap mainly depends on the shape and size of the pile driving hammer. and it should penetrate into a cap at least 10 centimeter length. So in case of group of piles, a common cap of RCC is provided for all of the piles. So this cap is carrying the load from the structure and distribute equally to the various piles, as you can see in this figure. Next is the pile shoe. So while driving a wooden or steel pile by hammer, the bottom end of the pile gets damaged, causing the difficulty in driving. So therefore, a pile shoe is fitted at the bottom and at the end of the pile to protect the pile and to facilitate easy pile driving. So first is a square pile shoe. Second is a wedge sharp pile shoe, socket type shoe for the timber pile, round pile shoe, steel strap pile shoe for timber pile, and crossed end shoe for the pike pile. So this pile shoe are made of cast iron, steel, or wrought iron. So there are different types of shoe, right? As we seen in this figure. Now, pile driving, the operation of inserting a pile into the ground. This all process is known as a pile driving. So piles are driven into the ground by means of hammer. The equipment used to lift the hammer and allow it to fall into the head of the pile is known as a pile driver. So there are different types of methods of pile driving. First one is a hammer driving. Next is a vibratory pile driver, or water jetting and hammering, partial angering method, right? So there are some basic points which is considered for the selection of pile driving methods. So first one is a type of what are the different types of soil at the site, what are the cost of pile driving equipments, availability of fluid pressure, materials of pile, length of pile, and the groundwater level. So first one is a hammer drive. This hammer driving, there are certain equipments are used. So first one is a pile frame, pile hammer, leads, winches, and miscellaneous equipment. So in pile frame, as you can see in this figure, pile driver with a crawl mounted crane rig commonly used for pile driving. So the hammer is guided between two parallel steel channels known as leads. So these leads are braced against the crane with a stake. So which is usually adjustable so that the lead can held in a vertical position to permit driving to a vertical piles or the inclined position to permit the driving of a better pile, right? As you can see in this figure. Okay, so next is a pile hammer. So hammers are used for pile driving are drop hammer, single acting hammer, double acting hammer, diesel hammer, vibratory hammer. So in a drop hammer is a this drop hammer is raised by a winch and allowed to drop on the top of the pile under the gravity by a certain height. So during the driving operation, a cap is fixed to the top of the pile and cushions is generally provided between the pile and the cap. So another cushion is known as a hammer cushion and it's placed on the pile cap on which the hammer caused the impact. So the drop hammer is the oldest type of hammer used for pile driving and it is rarely used these days because of very slow rate of hammer blows. Next is a single acting hammer. In a single acting hammer, a ram is raised by air and steam under pressure to the required height and it is allowed to fall under gravity on the top of the pile. So the weight of the hammer is about 1000 to 10,000 kg and the blows may be delivered much more rapidly than in case of drop hammer, right? Next is a double acting hammer. So in this type of hammer, air or steam pressure is used to raise the hammer and drop the hammer. When the hammer has been raised to the required height, air and steam pressure is applied to the other side of the piston and the hammer is pushed downward under the pressure. So the weight of the hammer may be about 1000 to 2500 kg. It can apply 90 to 240 blows per minute. Double acting hammers are generally used for driving light to moderate weight piles in soil of average resistance against the driving. Next is a diesel hammer, right? So this type of hammers is a small, lightweight, constrained and self-acting type using gasoline for fuel. So the total driving energy is the sum of impact of the ram plus the energy delivered to the by explosion. Second is a vibratory hammer, right? So the driving unit of this hammer vibrates at a high frequency, and that's why the pile driving is a quick and quiet. So the driving unit has a two weights called exciters, which rotate in opposite direction. The horizontal component of centrifugal force generated by the exciters cancel each other, but the vertical components add. So the sinusoidal dynamic vertical force is so developed it in applied to the pile with the forces the pile downward. So this type of hammer is useful only for sandy and gravelly soil. Speed of penetration is a good. The method is used by the vibration and conventional driving methods cannot be permitted. Water jetting and hammering. When the pile is to penetrate thin a hard layer of sand or gravel overlaying a softer soil layer by the pile can be driven through the hard layer by jetting technique. The water under pressure is discharged at a pile bottom point by means of a pipe to wash and the loose the hard layer. Next is a partial augering method. So inclined piles known as a batter piles are usually advanced by partial augering. So this type of technique, power auger is used to drill the hole for a part of the depth and the pile is then inserted into the hole and driven with the hammers to require depth.